All right, imagine this. Two 60-year-olds. They both are working in their peak earning years. The issue is that in 5 years, one of them is able to retire comfortably and the other will run out of money. So what happened? It wasn't luck in some magical investment. One of them follows these 5 guiding principles that I'm about to reveal, while the other flies by the seat of their pants, hoping for the best, but often failing. If you've been a part of our community for a while, you hear me discuss the retirement red zone, the 5 years before retirement and the 5 years after retirement. This is a critical financial period of your life where your decisions are magnified. There are lots of important decisions in this period. If you screw them up, there just isn't enough time to recover like when you're in your 30s or 40s. But if you get them right, they can supercharge your retirement. So let's walk through these 5 guiding principles that can completely change your retirement, starting with a concept that could double your nest egg in only 5 years. These last 5 years before retirement, they're what I call the wealth accelerator zone. For many families I work with, it's a rare moment where income is at its highest and expenses are actually dropping. The mortgage may be nearly paid off. The kids are hopefully financially independent and your lifestyle costs are more manageable. That means one thing. This is the perfect time to go all in on maximizing your nest egg. This isn't the time to add more expenses. Here's an example. Let's say you got a late start and began saving for retirement at age 40, but were able to save $1,000 a month in your retirement until you reached age 60. You were diligent and invested that money and made 7% per year over 2 decades. The stock market has averaged more like 9 or 10% per year, depending on the study you use, so this return of 7% isn't outrageous. The nest egg reached just over $500,000 at age 60. It's not bad, but you might be worried that it isn't enough. You could keep doing what you are doing, but if your expenses drop because of a paid-off mortgage and kids leaving the nest, here's what you could do to grow that to $1 million in just 5 years. How do you do it? By increasing your savings to the maximum retirement contributions allowed each year and allowing compound interest to work in your favor. That's the magic of your savings earning returns and those returns also earning returns. Here's how it works. In 2025, the standard maximum 401k contribution is $23,500. But Secure Act 2.0 now allows people aged 60 to 63 to supercharge their contributions with the super catch-up of $11,250. That can bring a total maximum contribution of $139,000 over that 4-year period. Once you turn age 64, it's back to the normal catch-up of $7,500. If we add that amount, we are at $146,500 of 401k contributions. For IRAs, you can make a contribution of $7,000 plus a $1,000 catch-up contribution, so $8,000 per year. Maybe you qualify to put them in a Roth IRA or maybe a traditional IRA based on your situation. But over that 5-year period, that's another $40,000 of contributions to retirement. That brings us to a total of $186,500 of retirement contributions during that 5-year period. That's what you call supercharging your savings. But now those contributions you make should earn returns if you invest the funds, right? Let's hypothetically assume that you put $42,750 per year during those super catch-up years between 60 and 63. At the end of those 4 years, you've reached $893,000 in your account by earning that 7% a year. Now in year 5, you contribute $39,000 when the super catch-up is over, and you make another 7% on those funds. You reach $997,318. You have now doubled your nest egg in just 5 years by maxing out your retirement contributions and making a reasonably, but not crazy rate of return. That's powerful compound growth in only 5 years. Don't financially jog into retirement. I want you to sprint. The final 5 years can turn a decent retirement into a great one. Are you taking full advantage of your contribution limits? If not, now's the time to start. And if you can't get to the maximum, the strategy still applies. Everyone's situation is different, but the premise is the same. increase your savings in these critical 5 years before retirement as much as you can. But too many people obsess over their savings total and completely overlook the other side of the equation. How will you turn that savings into actual retirement income? Well, that's the second guiding principle. When the paychecks stop, your retirement plan needs to pick up the slack. So here's what we do with clients to build that plan. First, identify all your fixed income sources: Social Security, pensions, rental property income, annuities, anything that's a predictable income stream. And that becomes your baseline. Then we calculate what's called your income gap. That's the difference between what you expect to spend each month and what you'll have coming in. That gap has to be filled by your nest egg. And finally, we design a withdrawal strategy that's built to last. That old 4% rule is a good starting point, but it's not set in stone. Your ideal withdrawal rate depends on your health, your goals, your tax situation, and whether you want to leave money behind or spend it all. For many people, higher withdrawal rates can actually be sustainable. You just want to run the numbers. And Social Security is also a huge piece of the strategy. The full Social Security retirement age for most people watching this is 67. That means you can turn on your Social Security and it isn't reduced because you make too much income. The earliest that you can take Social Security is at age 62, and there might be any number of reasons why it makes sense to do so. But if you take Social Security before your full retirement age and you are working, the IRS deducts $1 from your benefit payment for every $2 that you earn above their earnings limit. For 2025, that limit is $23,400. Here's an example of what would happen to someone born in 1962 with a $2,000 benefit and $50,000 of income because they're still working. As you can see, the $24K benefit would be reduced by $13,300. In that case, does it really make sense to turn on your benefit early? While you get that reduction back when you do reach full retirement age, you've lost over half the benefit and half the reason for taking it early. Generally, if you make significantly more than $24,000, it rarely makes sense to take your benefit early. Each year you delay taking the benefit, it increases by about 8% up until age 70. You must turn on your benefit by age 70. So the right claiming strategy depends on your unique situation. And that's why I run personalized Social Security analysis for my clients. It's never too early to map out your income plan and run different scenarios. Waiting until you already stop working, then it's too late. See the forest through the trees is more than a channel. It's a community. Get a private membership for just $2.99 a month and get perks like early video access. Click that join button to learn more. All right, here's the guiding principle that surprises a lot of people. As retirement gets closer, many people instinctively move everything into ultra-conservative investments, bonds, cash, money markets, but being too conservative can actually backfire. Why? Because retirement might last 25 or 30 years. You need growth to keep up with inflation, and Lord knows we've had a lot of inflation recently and might be in for even more. But you also need to protect against short-term downturns. Being hyper-aggressive in the retirement red zone can seriously backfire if you have a significant downturn like in the dot-com bust or the great financial crisis. This is why I usually keep 2 to 3 years worth of needed distributions in conservative assets. Notice I said needed distributions and not needed expenses. Remember earlier when we talked about identifying your fixed income sources? We only need to set aside the amount of money needed to supplement those income sources. The more secure income that you have, the less that needs to be set aside. It's simple but powerful. You carve out a few years worth of income and keep it in more stable investments. That way, if the market takes a hit like it did in 2000, 2008, or 2020, you don't have to sell your stocks at a loss. You draw from your buffer while your growth investments recover. Let's say you retired in December 2007 and the market crashed soon after. If you were pulling from your growth portfolio during that time, you've locked in major losses without any time for those to recover. But if you had a buffer, you could ride it out. And that buffer is your insurance policy against panic selling. It's something I help clients build gradually in the final years before retirement. Taxes. They might not be exciting, but I'll tell you what, good tax planning can make the difference between your money lasting 20 years or 30 years. The key is having tax diversification. That means spreading your assets across 3 account types. Tax-deferred accounts, like traditional IRAs or 401ks, tax-free accounts, like health savings accounts, Roth IRAs or Roth 401ks, and sometimes taxed accounts, like brokerage accounts. Each of these types of accounts has its own tax implications, and having options allows you to pull income strategically in retirement, some from this account, some from that account, minimizing your tax bill year over year. Your sometimes taxed accounts, like brokerage accounts, are taxed on capital gains. That's the difference between when you bought an investment and what you sold it for. And the tax rates are flat and are often lower than income rates. Your tax-deferred accounts, like traditional IRAs and 401ks, are taxed as income when that money comes out because you haven't ever been taxed on that income. Your HSAs, Roth IRAs, and Roth 401ks are often tax-free if you follow a few simple rules. Those rules are outside the scope of this video, but they're available on the channel. Another outstanding tax planning opportunity might be Roth conversions. By converting money from a traditional IRA to a Roth when your income is low or while you're in a favorable tax bracket, you pay taxes now in exchange for tax-free withdrawals later. This can lessen the tax burden over time while also potentially making your Social Security tax-free. You'll want some professional guidance here, so make sure you reach out to your tax and financial advisors to see what makes sense in your situation. You can also look at tax loss harvesting in your taxable accounts, strategically selling investments that are temporarily down in value to offset gains and even reduce your regular income taxes. This strategy worked extremely well during the stock market sell-off in early 2025, before the market ran up to new all-time highs later in the year. And don't forget about required minimum distributions, or RMDs. They kick in at age 73 or 75, depending on your birth year for traditional IRA accounts, and can significantly raise your taxable income. Pair that with Social Security taxes and it becomes clear. The final years before retirement are your best window to get ahead of these issues. All right, now for the final step. And it's not about numbers, it's about purpose. So many people focus so heavily on money and the numbers that they forget to ask the most important question. What do I want retirement to feel like? Retirement is a massive lifestyle shift. You're going from structured days at work to having unlimited free time, which sounds great until you wake up one day and wonder what the heck to do next. That's why I always ask my clients, what will your days look like? Will you travel, start a side business, spend more time with family, volunteer? The clearer your vision, the more satisfying and affordable your retirement will be. It's important to think about what a week in your ideal retirement looks like. What time do you wake up? What fills your mornings? Who do you spend time with? This makes retirement real, and it also helps you plan your budget more accurately, because a lifestyle that's based on international travel will require different funding than one that's based around community volunteering or local hobbies. And don't overlook the social aspect. Many retirees underestimate how much of their social life comes from work. Staying connected through clubs, family, or part-time work can be one of the biggest factors in long-term happiness. Your lifestyle plan is just as important as your financial one, and the two should complement each other, not compete. All right, so let's wrap it all up. These are the 5 guiding principles that separate people who retire with confidence from those who retire with stress. First, max out your savings and leverage compound growth. Then, create a solid, sustainable retirement income strategy. Protect against volatility with a buffer investment strategy. Optimize taxes using account diversification and smart planning. Design a retirement lifestyle that gives you purpose and fulfillment. If you found this helpful, I'd encourage you to engage with our community. Which of these 5 guiding principles do you think will be the toughest for you to implement, and why? Your answers help us create better, more personalized content for your retirement journey. Make sure you share them down in the comments. And if you own a business and are interested in optimizing your financial planning, you can get started working with us today by visiting celestialwm.com and clicking the Start Here tab to schedule an initial call. Still not sure that you want to talk? Well, head over to my resource center and learn more about my financial planning process by watching my 35-minute complimentary training. And check out this video next for even more ways to supercharge your net worth.